Hi, friends. Welcome to episode 21. It's all about balance. And I have my podcast partner, Melanie Lemus, on the line with us today to talk about balance. Hey, Mel.
Hey, I feel like you and I are perfect to do this podcast together, this particular episode, because I think we balance each other out very
Yes.
well.
Yes, I would agree. When we were talking about it, I thought, well, you wrote that article on balance. I think it's time to pull it out with summer, right
Mhm.
here and our attention being pulled in all different directions. I'm hearing from my job seekers about creating a balance. My, you know, uh, career folks trying to get promoted and the balance there with everybody coming back to work now, not as
Mhm.
many doing the remote thing, but even doing remote at home, struggling. And then my authors writing those books and trying to balance family and life and deadlines and
Yeah.
whatnot. So yes, I thought, boy, you hit the nail on the head with balance. We need to pull that article back out. And I'm ready to be vulnerable because I know I have a lot of weaknesses and you can use me to exploit those and fix me because you're my fixer too. And
Oh, I don't
then,
know. Well, I
well,
think it
okay.
will, like I said, we balance each other out because as
Yes.
our viewers will find out, you tend to err on the side of working too much and not setting the
Yes.
boundary. And then I am on the other end of the spectrum. And we'll talk about why I'm over here. And if you want, you can talk about why you're over here. But
Right.
I tend to be on the side of not work. Like I am on the side of prioritizing my relaxation and my health. That we'll put it that
There
way.
you go. I like that. I like how you termed that. Yes, because you do get the work done. I never have to worry about Melanie getting the work done, folks. She's amazing. I do have to wonder, hey, where's Melanie? She's not on text today. And then I find out later she's at the beach. But hey, she got her work done, so I can never say anything. I need to learn a lot from her when it comes to the relaxation side. And again, she's going to tell us about her trick and her secrets for that. All
Yes.
right, Mel. So where do you want to start? You want to pick on me
Well,
first? Do we want to
Well,
tackle what we
we'll start with the umbrella first. Feeling
okay.
balanced. Feeling balanced is about a couple of things. Effective time management, which we'll get into. It's about
Yes.
setting boundaries, and it's also about learning to say no, practicing self-care, and scheduling regular time to be with your friends and family and stuff like that. So we could
True.
start right at the top and talk about time management. So I think you are excellent at time management. I constantly think to myself, where does Janine find the time? Are her days like 36 hours and the rest of ours are 24? Because I don't know how you juggle all that you do. So tell us, what are
Right.
your best time management secrets?
So for me, I'm very much a checklist kind of person. I stick to a schedule, I stick to an agenda. In fact, friends, I'll be honest, I drive Melanie nuts because I try to create a script or and I try to when we first started this podcast, I'm no joke. I think Melanie's head spun around because she was in media. She was on air. She did podcasts. She did all this stuff. And although I was in media in the 90s, I I put the commercials on TV. I did editing in what they call traffic. I was not in front of the camera. And I did my best for most of my career to not be in front of the camera. So this podcast was a real stretch for me. Melanie didn't have that. She was on camera. Anyway, so I was used to back in my day creating, scripts and okay, for 30 seconds we're going to talk about this and we're going to bring up this topic at that point. And she's looking at me like, and where do we act authentic and just have a conversation, Janine? You know. So part of my time management, not to go off track there, but part of my time management is I block all my time. I fill it in. And the problem with my time management, though, is I overwhelm myself
Yep.
because I don't have boundaries and I don't say no, which we'll talk about in a minute. So, good time management is setting aside the time you need to get what you need done. So whether you're like me and you deal with some workaholic tendencies, or you don't have those boundaries in place you need to, and you say yes to a lot of people, you still got to put the time in place. So you have to schedule your time. You have to make sure that you schedule enough time. So in my case, because I do client work, or I'm also a college professor, how much time is it really going to take me to do that task? A lot of times I have discovered that people will not allot enough time for a task. They'll list it, but then, my husband, he's going to kill me, but he's a perfect example of that. Oh, I'm going to change the brakes on the car today. Oh, are you, honey? Okay. Yeah, it'll take me about 30 minutes. It'll take him 30 minutes.
4 hours.
It'll take him an hour. If he was changing the oil, that'd be about 15 minutes or 30 minutes, but brakes, and he'll always come back, 2 hours later and say, gosh, where did my time go?
Yeah.
So I've gotten really good about determining exactly how much time it's going to take me. So because I am good with my time in that regard, I fill things in. I'm constant. There's not a lot I leave on my schedule open. So Melanie's going to be very proud of me. And I mentioned I was going to do this, but I'm implementing it, folks. Every Friday, I am going to take off in the summer. So Janine will not be working on Fridays. That's my way of doing some additional time management. Scheduling in that self-care, relaxation, me time in there that we're also going to talk about. But time management, I had to schedule that in because I still have clients who still work and still want the work done. So how am I going to shift that? So anyway, time management, making sure you're scheduling things appropriately and allotting the correct amount of time and giving yourself enough time on a schedule. If you have a big project coming up down the road, make sure you're giving yourself enough days to work on that project so that you complete it on time, complete those deadlines as well. So I hope I'm hitting it, Melanie. That's
you
something
are,
I just
do. One little tip that I could add to that. I do appreciate that you're like, schedule enough time to complete these tasks, because I will I'll be like, okay, I'm going to spend 1 hour researching whatever. And I would really be happy with like 4 hours researching it. So schedule yourself, like if you, like for Hayden, if he was going to do the breaks, whatever, he could block off 2 hours and say it takes him an hour. Then he's got an hour of bonus time where he could spend it, grabbing a cup of coffee and sitting on the back porch. Or, for you that works at home full time, you could find these little tiny pockets of time if you overestimate. But then also, if you underestimate, or if you overestimate but end up filling that time, you're not behind, So I would say, add an extra 15 minutes onto tasks and, take those little pockets of breaks to even just get up and walk around. I mean, I know that the back pain and the shoulder pain and the neck pain and everything from being hunched over at the computer all the time, we would all benefit from getting up and taking a walk outside. I've been doing this practice called grounding or earthing, where there's a lot of science behind it, and it's kind of amazing, where you go outside barefoot and you just put your feet on the ground, because we are electric beings, and the earth is full of energy, and we actually exchange energy with the earth. It's not one of these like new agey things like your chakras. It's not that. Like there's actual science. It helps pull excess electrons and stuff like that in your body. It grounds you. Like think of an electrical outlet, how it's grounded. And it actually is really good for lessening inflammation. And I've been practicing that like religiously this week. I've even made my husband mow the lawn barefoot.
Okay.
And as soon as my daughter wakes up, I'm like, go outside and sit on the hammock with 1 foot or 1 arm on the ground. She's like, okay. And honestly, it's been the best way to wake up. And I've been feeling a lot less inflammation. I will get like arthritis in my wrist, and I've been sleeping better. So anyway, that's a step outside barefoot. Take a couple of minutes here and there to stretch and get the kinks out. So because you're no good to anybody when you're broken.
Great tips. Great tip about adding in extra time for breaks. I did not say that, especially if you sit a lot. If you're writing all day, you need a break. You need to
Yeah.
take breaks throughout the day. You know, it's like you're a trained athlete. Athletes train hard, but then they rest their bodies. You know, well, when you're sitting at that desk, you know, typing all day for that book, you know, you have to take a break. You have to hydrate. You have to, you know, as Melanie said, maybe not in the same terms, but you have to ground yourself. Like, okay, you're using your mind a lot. What's going on? You got to give it a break a little bit.
Oh my gosh, sometimes just staring off into the distance for like 30 seconds to give your eyes a break from the screen.
Yes.
Oh, that makes all the difference.
Yes. And then I like the tip about, you called it earthing, or I think I got that right. Yeah. Just going outside barefoot. I can't tell you, I never heard of the term, but I can't tell you how many times I've just walked outside barefoot and just walked on the grass to feel the grass on my feet. You know, it feels amazing. And then I'll tell you, you know, when I want that little massage on my feet, we have one of those driveways that has the rocks in it. I don't know what you call that.
Yeah, the little river rocks.
Yeah, I don't know what they call aggregate. I don't know what they call that driveway, but so when I walk to go get the mail, if I'm barefoot, it's like I feel everything on my feet, but it's kind of like a massage. So anyway, I know I'm getting off topic.
You know, I think if everybody actually thinks about it, we are all drawn to going outside, and we all feel rejuvenated when we're out in nature, and it's just the way that we are created, you know. But one thing I did want to mention before we move on from time management is a little trick that I use, because, you know, I work from home, and we're no longer homeschooling because it's the summer. But when we were homeschooling, you know, and we have an old dog who needs to go out every 5 minutes. And so I will set myself, I know it doesn't sound like
speaking of
dogs, I know it sound like a lot of time, but I will set 20-minute alarms on my phone. And I have like a little, where's my book? I have a little, this is how I keep track of my hours. And there's check marks right there. And for every box, it's 20 minutes. So 3 of them is an hour of work. And what I do is I'll put the timer on for 20 minutes, because without fail, I can sit for 20 minutes and focus my brain. And if my daughter needs help, I'll be like, okay, you have 10 minutes. I will come and help you in 10 minutes. Or the dog, I will let you out and, you know, whatever. And then I'll get up and I'll stretch. I'll let the dog out. I'll refill my water. I'll help her with homework or whatever she needs help with, run to the bathroom. And I come and sit back down, and I've only been gone, you know, 5 minutes. And then I can start back up with my next 20-minute block. Now, for me, who has trouble like actually just sitting without interruption, that works. But for you who has trouble taking a break, that system would also work for you, but on the you know, the purpose.
Right. So, I would add that's another great tip. I would add, get to a stopping point. Yeah. You know, don't take your breaks when you're focused on a particular task and you're doing well, because what science will also, you know, it's been proven that if you leave, it takes some time to get focused again. It takes about 20 minutes to get focused again. So your approach is perfect when you get to that stopping point, and you're ready to start a new task, because your brain hasn't been focused on the previous task. You know, you're starting something new. So that's a great time to take that break right before you start that next task. So
I will say, if I'm like writing an article, I won't take a break every 20 minutes. So that's a good point, because I do find it's hard to get started. But if I'm like creating graphics, you know, it takes like 10 minutes or so, and so I can get a couple of done, and then I can, you know, it's a good stopping point. So
and actually going outside, even exercising for that 20 minutes, you know, that gets your brain moving. And they say that the more you do that, the more creative you are. It helps your creative juices flow. So, yes.
Yeah, blood flow is never a bad thing.
Yes, right? Except when I have those moments, I just text you, Melanie, I need a name for this blog article. No. Okay, so we talked about effective time management. Awesome. That will help us balance some things a bit better. All right. So what's next? You want to jump into boundaries?
Yes. Next is setting boundaries. So with electronics, we have the capability to be connected at all hours every single day with anybody that wants to reach us. Now, for those of us who have a hard time setting boundaries, we make ourselves accessible all the time. Yeah. Who would that
Me?
be? So you make yourself accessible all the time. And then I text you. I know I'm guilty of this. And I'm like, I want to text her right now. It's like 8:30 on a Friday night because that's when I get the inspiration to work, And I'm like, I want to text her because if I don't do it now, I'll forget. But knowing Janine, she'll jump up and do whatever I'm asking her to do Monday. She'll be like, oh, I got it right now, So I like, you need to just be like, not answering you right now, and that's fine.
Right.
But so setting boundaries, I would say turn off your electronics, stop that constant connection. There's no reason why you need to be available, 14, 16 hours a day, unless our jobs are not life and death, right? So we should be able to have a personal life. Everybody has that right to have a personal life. So set work hours, especially if you are work from home. But even if you go to your place of work, set your work hours and stop responding to work things outside of those hours. I think there are certain situations where it needs immediate attention, but if we're being honest with ourselves, those are probably fewer and farther between than we actually treat them,
Right. No, you're absolutely right. Setting boundaries is something I'm working on. I've been working on it for a long time. I had to shift priorities a bit.
Yeah.
I have to put family first. Well, and God first, then family, then work. Work comes. Mm-hmm. I think early on when I started the business, you're trying to make a name, trying to get out there, bring that awareness that you're doing these things, because now you're in a different role and people knew you from, working here, but not in this role. And so you're trying to get those leads, you're trying to get that business, and you're working a lot of hours trying to grow the business. And so when you work at home, in my case, especially, that's what that's what pulls me back in. It just sucks me in,
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm also a helper, a nurturer, a counselor, a teacher. That's my makeup. So when someone has a need, like you said, it could be a simple text from you asking where something's located. Well, that helper in me is like, oh, I know exactly where that is. Let me go get it. And I love that you in your text will put, okay, I don't need it right now. I'm just doing it so I won't forget. That you've built that in because you know how I am.
Yeah.
Boundaries is a tough thing. It's, friends, if you're working from home, I know it's hard. I know that setting those boundaries can be difficult at times. You have to be intentional about it. You have to make a conscious decision to put those boundaries in place, or you will quickly overwhelm yourself. I had to go to my strengths, which again is that time management side, to say, wait a minute, do I have enough time in a day to take on this extra work or this extra person or this extra activity? And if it means telling someone, no, I can't go to that event, or I can't do that activity, I have to say no or put that in place, because I can overwhelm myself very quickly. I think we all can overwhelm ourselves very quickly. So just putting those boundaries in place, like Melanie said, turn off the electronics. Yeah. Now, I will say I'm good about that, to the point where my family, my daughters, I have older daughters, they'll call at 8:00 at night. They will not get me. And they'll text my husband or call him, and they'll say, hey, have mom call, because I know she shut her phone off. And that phone's in another room. I don't even, half the time, I don't even know where my phone is after 8:00 because I've eaten dinner, I'm watching a movie, I'm vegging now, I'm done. So yes, I'm good about the electronics. I'm working on the setting work hours. I say I stop at 8. I have been good. Wouldn't you say, Melanie? I would say probably in the last couple months, I've been doing really good with that. In the past, you could catch me at 11 p.m. still doing tasks. So I'm getting better about that. when I first started the business, I used to get up and dressed and ready to go at 6 a.m., fully dressed in a suit to work at home. Yeah, I was crazy. But I was trying
Well,
to keep that same schedule, I
I
wanted
think
to
it's
keep
important
that
to get in the
same.
mindset though, with
Yes,
like getting dressed so that you're like, okay, now it's like
yes,
professional time. So I don't think anything's
yes.
wrong with that, maybe
Well,
not a
now
suit at
I didn't
home,
need to
but
get in a suit though, I didn't need to put a suit on. Business casual is okay, unless
right,
I'm going out.
right.
But yes, I don't want to be in my shorts and my, you know, more casual clothes, because then I'm gonna want to go sit out at the pool and
Right.
and not focus on the important stuff, you know. Um, and then you're right. You had mentioned in our conversation before this call about doing an end of day ritual, like when do you
Yes.
shut down? What's your process for that? I'm
Yep.
starting to really put that in place. I'm getting better. I haven't done it for 21 days or anything, so I haven't built the habit, but I've rearranged the way I focus on my work.
Mhm.
I've talked about being a college professor, having my own business, and being an author. And I used to always wait to do the school stuff until after all my work was done. And I've
Mhm.
shifted that now. I do all of the school stuff earlier in the day, get all the grading done, do my discussion threads and that kind of stuff. Then I focus on my client work. Then I focus on my writing. And so far it's worked out. It's just those minor changes. I can, stop work at a particular time that I've
Right.
set and go on to do what I want to do. And yes, watch TV at 8 o'clock if I want, or read that book or whatever.
Right.
So
Yeah,
yes.
speaking of the end of day rituals, I actually learned that hack from Michael Hyatt. He's a productivity expert. I love him. I reference him all the time. But for me, what I do is I clean up and organize my desk. I throw out any paper because I use a lot of scratch paper. I like to have like notes on paper. I'm very much a paper checklist person also. So I'll go through anything that's, old and I can just toss it in the trash. I'll make a to-do list for the next day. I go through and I have a little essential oil diffuser here. I'll like set it up with water and oil for the next day. I'll turn off all the lights. So my desk is like clean and ready to go the next day. And, push in my chair. And then I go get, in comfy clothes or clothes if we're going somewhere, whatever. And basically shut down the workstation and have it clean
Yes.
and ready for the next day. Cause I don't want to come in and mess it up again, So that's just
Yeah.
my little end of day
Yeah.
work ritual.
So that's good to know. That's always been my personality, though. When I'm done with work, I clean my space. I have this little box that I put all my stuff in to say that's my work box. Those are all
Yeah.
my, client files or whatever for the next day, whatever the case is. And yes, my workspace is clean. But that I learned a long time ago. I think it's become a habit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great that you have made that your transition thing. Now I feel kind of good about myself, since I was beating myself up, that I actually have this good thing in place. So that's kind of cool. But all right. So, oh God, I'm going to get beat up again on this next one. Learning to say no.
say no.
Gosh.
So we talked about this in a couple of podcasts before. If you say yes to everything, you burn yourself out and you lose the time and the steam, like the energy to say yes to the things that you are supposed to be doing. Your best yes is what Lisa Turkhurst calls it. She has a
That's
Bible study on
right.
learning to say your best yes. So if you say yes to everything, then you're not creating the space to give your best yes for the stuff that you are
Correct.
created for. I do not have a problem saying no. I've always been like that. It was funny the other day at church. There's a gentleman who is organizing a new service group at church, and he was talking to me in front of our head pastor. And he goes, "Hey, Melanie, I put you on the schedule for this." I was like, "Yeah, I saw your email. Did you see that I said no?" And he was like, because I'm already on like 3 teams at church. And he was like, "Yeah, I saw that, but I put you on the schedule anyway. I figured you'd do it." I was like, "Clearly you don't know me well enough, because I don't have any problem saying no." And the pastor and him, they both like looked at me like, "Oh, we can't pressure you into this. I was like, no, I am
No.
very protective of my personal time and my family time because my husband deploys all the time or he's on work trips. And so
Right.
if he is home, I will not, don't ask me to do anything because if he's home, I'm spending time with him. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so
Yes,
the
and you have
weekends,
it
I'm
right.
very
That's
protective.
right. You've got that right. Ruth is on the line. Hi, Ruth. Yes, it's so hard to keep the focus we've set for ourselves. Sometimes there is only so much of us to go around, but I think for some
Yes.
reason I have much more to give. I don't know what my problem is. But so a funny little secret. There's times when I'm asked to do something and I'll like call Melanie, like, Melanie, how should I say no? And she's so funny because she'll be like, I'll tell them no. What do you want me to say? I'll tell them no right now. You're not doing that. She's very protective and I so love her for that. She's like, no, Janine can't do that. Because she knows me. She knows I'm going to do it. So
I haven't told you this story, but one of our, I won't say who she is, but one of our mutual friends, she has someone working for her that it's just not working out.
Yes.
And she's so non-confrontational. I was like, why don't you hire me for 2 days? I'll let her go and then I'll quit.
Right.
And she's like,
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about. I've been telling her for a year. But I said, in that situation, I have no problem telling somebody no for someone else. You know, in that situation, I did the same thing. You want me to tell her no? I'll go tell this person no, and they're gone. You know, and here's the list of reasons why. You know, it's just my own personal issue. I don't know. I'm a lot like our friend when it comes to that side. But yeah, if I run across a situation where I know my weakness, I'm going to give in and I'm going to do something and I know it's going to overwhelm me, I will go to Melanie and she'll talk me off that ledge and say, you're not doing it. When do you have time to do that? No, you're not adding that in, you know. So
Janine wants to do all the things all the time. And I'm like, Janine, you don't have the space for this in your life. But you know, learning to say no is a vital life skill that everybody must learn at some point. And when you say no, you'll be able to choose more meaningful activities versus just doing things out of guilt or a false sense of obligation, you know. And I think for the most part, I think we feel worse about saying no than the person who we say no to actually feels bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're probably like, okay, you can't do it. I'll find somebody else, you know, fine, whatever. But we're like, oh, they were counting on me when I think we put a false sense of importance on ourselves.
I feel like people are counting on me, but I will say you have rubbed off on me. So I am getting better. What I do now, if I know I'm overwhelmed, if I haven't already called you and talked it through, I will say, okay, I can do that, but I can't do it right now. I can do it for you, but I won't be able to even get to whatever the thing is for 2, maybe 3 weeks. And so it puts it back on that person. And if the person needs it right away, then they know that I said yes, but I couldn't do it in the time they needed it.
Right. So it kind of lets you off the hook a little.
It kind of lets me off the hook. And then I don't feel like I'm the bad guy or I didn't help. Or I'll say, well, I can't do it till whatever day. And if they're okay with that, then it really wasn't as much of a rush as I thought it was, you know, because I want to do the tasks right away. Well, they have 2 weeks, you know, so why am I putting the pressure on myself? I actually had that happen. 2 friends at the same time came to me and said, one said, I'm getting let go of from a job. Another said, there's an opportunity for a promotion in a job. And they both came to me the same week. And I said the same thing I just told you. I can do it, but I cannot work on that resume for 2 weeks. And the one person who was getting let go said, I'm getting let go in July. This was last month. I'm getting let go in July. I can't wait. Thank you so much. Love you. They moved on and they went to seek other help. The other person said, it's a promotion. I'm already doing the job. I think I got a shoe in. I can wait 2 weeks. And they did. And so it worked out. And that was a good good example. So
It makes
for
me
those
think
of
of this.
you who are like me and can't say no, try that tactic. It might work because you're
Yeah.
putting it back on the person who's, asking you to do something.
Yeah.
If they don't need it right away, maybe you can schedule it in, time
Mhm.
management, schedule it in, and you can still help them.
And
Or,
remember, poor planning on someone else's part does not make it an emergency on your end.
oh, that's good. I need to write that down and post a sticky.
I've said
Good.
that to my daughter and my husband a couple times. Listen, poor planning on your part doesn't make it an emergency on my part.
I need to write that on my son's mirror with a dry erase marker.
Love you, Mom.
Right, love mom. Yes.
That's funny.
Okay, so that wasn't so bad. I don't feel so bad about that one now.
How
All
about
right.
self-care?
Oh, okay. I might feel a little bad again, but
Self-care means getting weekly massages and pedicures and manicures, right, Janine?
huh? Right.
No, self-care does not mean, face masks and pampering and all these expensive whatever. Self-care just means listening to your body and respecting the boundaries that it's trying to tell you. You could be, it could be physical or emotional warning signs that your body's telling you. So if your shoulders are up to your ears because of hours spent at the computer, that neck pain is telling you it's time for some exercise or gentle stretching or just a walk outside. Or if you're feeling guilty for missing your kid's soccer game or an event because you're working too many hours, your heart's telling you to say no to less important commitments so that you can be there for what really matters. So it's important to schedule regular time for relaxation, hobbies, friends, and family. Like Janine's going to take off every Friday.
Yes. So that's part of my self-care is because I don't. And although I at times may still be in this chair in front of the computer, at least I'm doing things that I want to do. I am very much, anybody who knows me, I'm very much a learner. I like to learn new programs, new applications, use new tools, read articles. You see, I'm getting excited just thinking about all that.
I know, right?
And, I want time to do that. I did learn from a leader, one of my former bosses. He was amazing at self-care as a leader. When you're a leader, you have to stay on top of things. You have to constantly read, learn new things. And this individual would basically, go into the office at 6. He would not do any kind of work until about 9. And this was a military leader. And that's because he would read the articles. He would research whatever he needed to research. He would prepare himself mentally for all of the tasks he had to do in a day. And I used to be good at doing that. My time management, I would budget that time in, but again, with the business and doing all this stuff, somewhere I got a little lost. And part of my self-care now and taking that Friday off is no meetings, no client work, so that I can read those articles I desperately want to read. You should see my stack. I've fallen behind.
This is my stack of printed articles right here that I want to read.
Oh my gosh. Well, it would take a while, but they're all in this big box here.
Oh gosh.
Of everything I want to read. And then I've signed up for so many courses because I also like to get in there. Oh my gosh. I have like 10 courses on Udemy that I signed up for, better website design, better graphic design, better, you name it, I've signed up for it. I have this whole Adobe Creative Suite and I can't even use half the tools. I want to learn how to use the tools. Fortunately, I have I have 2 amazing graphic designers, Mark Lambertson and Crystal Calhoun, who I've had on the show from Made to Be Unique. I don't know what I would do without those guys. But I still want to learn. I like that kind of stuff and I want to learn all this stuff. And there's just not enough time in a day. So Fridays it is. I plan to take Melanie to the beach at some point and just veg out. I plan to potentially, lay out at my own pool. I have a pool that I never use.
I'm just going to show up at like 8 a.m. on Friday with 2 iced coffees in my bathing suit. Like, let's go to the pool.
That works for me.
You're going to still be in bed. Hayden's going to open the door and be like, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like your Southern accent. Uh-oh.
See, she thought she heard Hayden.
Right.
He thought he heard Hayden.
Anyway, so that is part of my self-care. The other thing I have done, and January, this 2021, I wanted to make a big change. So podcast was one, obviously, challenging myself to do something outside of my comfort zone. And then getting in shape. And I started with just walking because I sit all day long. And I have. So since January, I've been walking every day, at least during the week. And then now I've even included a Saturday, at least 2.5 miles. That's my thing. I walk every day. Sometimes I'll do a little more. Last week I did 7.5 miles. Don't know if I'll do that every day, but I enjoyed it. And it got me out, from this chair, from being stuck in the house, because I also have noticed that as I've gotten older, I'm starting to get these reclusive tendencies where I could just stay in the house and not interact with anyone. And that's not me, that's creating a habit I don't want. So that's my self-care. But I've also surrounded myself with people who love me and help me with self-care. And I'll tell you, Melanie is one of my best friends. I'm blessed to have her work for me, but truth be told, she's a great Christian sister. I love her. And she's one of those that takes care of me. I mean, for my birthday, she got me a mask so I can learn to meditate, because the mask has the headphones in there so I can do my brain waves and just meditate and relax, because she knows I don't relax enough. And then she got me this cute little teapot with all the different teas in it, also aimed at helping me relax. And she always thinks of me that way. So if you don't have a person in your life like that, get a person like that, because they are wonderful. And I've learned so much from her about how to relax. And that hospitality side. Is that a good?
I feel like that's a backhanded compliment to tell your employee, I've learned a lot about how to relax from you.
No, you're a good employee. I wish I had 10 more just like you, because boy, this business would be a lot further than what it is, because you just do so much and you're only one person. So now I have learned a lot from you, and I appreciate that. Thank you. This is now turned into the Melanie Love Fest. No.
Well, so back to balance. A lot of people think that balance means, 50-50 with work and, personal life, but that might be true for some people, but work-life balance typically looks different to everyone. So balancing your work and personal life will likely vary on different days of the week or varying seasons, like you and I had spoken about earlier. You will know that you're succeeding when you're satisfied with your productivity to a point where you can thoroughly enjoy your downtime and recharge. And that's the real sweet spot.
That you're absolutely right. I'm glad you said that. You will absolutely know when you're not dreading going to work on Monday. You'll know you're getting enough downtime. I'll tell you, I can tell you at my worst, because I think I've shared on this show that I have workaholic tendencies. I've worked very hard. So it does stem from, I do have PTSD. It stems from the trauma I've experienced in my life, to not deal with some of the triggers and the traumas that I've had. I threw myself into work. It's a way to numb myself, and not good. I'm not recommending that. Please don't take that the wrong way, friends. But I noticed how bad it had gotten when I turned 40, which was many years ago. We won't say how many, but I went on a cruise. That's right. And I went on a cruise with 10 other girls. It was, to celebrate this, new phase in my life and to just enjoy it. And fortunately, I think it was a 10-day cruise. I can't remember, but all I do remember is everybody was having a great time except for me. The first 3 days, I was what I would equate to detoxing from all the electronics
Mm.
because I was at that point teaching 4 classes for 2 universities every 8 weeks, in addition to a full-time job. And I was also in a PhD program myself. There was no downtime, none. My family and I hadn't done any events, nothing. So anyway, I was intentional when I got on that ship, that boat. They said, "Do you want the electronics package?" And I said, "No." But as soon as we got far enough out to sea, the phones didn't work, and
Mhm.
I started feeling sick. And it took me 3 days to unwind and to actually enjoy the amazing cruise I was on. And then we ended up in Bermuda,
Mhm.
and to actually enjoy Bermuda, to go hiking, to be on this tropical island. Yeah, 3 days was wasted because I was so tightly wound and had not taken self-care, had not done,
Mhm.
anything for myself, that it was an eye opener. So, although I still have a long way to go, and I again thank Melanie for all her help and support, I've made strides since then, but I need to do more. So, do not, friends, get yourself to that point because as we get older, that stress and anxiety can take on other forms. It can affect our health, and we don't
Yeah.
want that. So,
Well, and
I hope.
I can speak to that because I was working, I had a home-based business a few years ago, and I was probably working easy 60 to 80 hours a week. And I was tied to my phone. My business was on my phone, and I was answering stuff like until 2 or 3 in the morning. Because I was like, if I don't answer, I'm going to miss that sale, And so
Right,
I
right.
burnt myself out, and I started having panic attacks, and I started having generalized anxiety disorder, and I started having oh, what's it called when you don't leave your house? Yeah, that was me. I couldn't go grocery shopping because fluorescent lights would actually trigger me to have a panic attack. Um, and because I burnt myself out, I burnt out my adrenal system. I burnt out because I was sitting at the computer or at my phone all day eating chocolate chips and plantain chips. That was my diet. And so I got like severe, leaky gut, which is your gut's your second brain. And so like I was having all these anxiety symptoms from all that. And basically I overdid work so much that I destroyed my health, and I ended up having severe anxiety that took me years to get over. And so that's why now, like you just explained, the reason why you're like on the workaholic end of the spectrum, and I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum, because if I feel the least bit anxious or whatever, I'm like, I'm not working. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go to the beach. I'm going to relax. I'm going to, just spend time with my family. And I'm very, very, very protective of that. I'm very protective of my time and of my health. And so I will definitely err on the opposite side of that spectrum. So I think, yeah, our tendencies definitely stem from our
Yeah,
experiences for sure.
absolutely. So, what other things do you do for self-care? I know I talked about the little things that I do, but you've really, I think, mastered it in many ways. So, what kind of things? Like you, even yet the other day, you texted me and said, "Oh, you're going to take Fridays off." Well, this Friday I'm going on an earth hike. I'm like, "What's an
Yeah,
earth hike?"
so I've
You
been
know.
very much into earthing, like I talked like I mentioned, just being barefoot outside. I've noticed that it really helps with stress and anxiety. And so a couple of my also like natural health nuts friends, we are going on a barefoot hike this Friday morning at like 8 in the morning before it gets super hot. And then we're gonna jump in the what is it? It's like an inlet. It's not the bay, it's not the
Oh,
ocean,
okay.
but it's like a little inlet. So we're gonna jump in there and just be barefoot all morning. And so I like to be outside. I grew up in the country. I'm not so much a beach person. I really like the mountains, but we live at the beach, so that's where I end up going.
Right, right.
And I like just reading, relaxing. We have a hammock set up out back. What else do I do? Oh, I really do enjoy getting massages. I do like it because I do get that whole like the neck pain and the
Yeah.
shoulder pain, and so I like massages and and eating healthy. That is one way that I do self-care is I love a good green juice or a beet juice or like really healthy stuff. Like I just feel good when I take the time to cook for myself in that way. And that's pretty much my
Yeah,
self-care. Put me
that's
outside,
a,
give me some good food.
yeah, I'm still working on that. But I have my husband is a lean machine who can eat anything he wants.
Yeah.
And but we both gravitate towards sugar. So,
Mhm.
if he comes in last week, what did he come in with? Oh, he's like, look what I found, babe. And I'm like, what? And he said they were raspberry zingers. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
seriously? Really? I thought he was gonna come in with Twinkies or something. I can reject those. But
Yeah.
a zinger, I was like, raspberry zinger, really? So of course I had to eat one. And then ice cream.
Yeah.
He wants to eat ice cream, even if it's the best, ice cream for you. It's a good, healthy, whatever. He wants to eat that at 8:30 at night. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I say no, but I'm weak, friends. When it comes to that kind of stuff, I'm from the dairy state. I'm from Wisconsin. We like our ice cream and our cheese. So he'll cut up a piece of cheese, Colby Jack or cheddar or whatever, and or we'll have ice cream. Well, yeah, his metabolism, he's got a Lamborghini metabolism, right?
Yeah, he does.
I
Goodness.
don't. I have the old like Pinto metabolism or something. I don't know. But half our audience probably doesn't even know what a Pinto is. See, I'm like showing my age now. But anyway, yeah. So that's my problem. I need to do more healthy stuff. I
Yeah.
blame my
But you
mother.
know what? When you do indulge, just let go of that guilt because if you're indulging it to enjoy it, then just enjoy it and move
Yeah.
on because, you know, you're going
I
to do it one
blame
way or the other. You might as well fully enjoy it and let go of the guilt.
I blame my mom. Well, I blame my parents because growing up, my parents were into bodybuilding and that whole scene. They competed and whatnot. And in our house, there was no sugar. It was all health food. And this was in the 70s and 80s. What health food was good back then?
Mhm.
So I tease her now because I'm like, oh, that's, I rebel,
Yeah.
because of that. So now I'm like, dang it, why didn't I pay attention? Because now I need to eat better. I'm older and yeah. Anyway, I'm working on it. So
It's always it's
I
always
don't know
a
if I'm gonna do
process.
those green smoothie things. The look. It has to still look visually appealing to me. I don't
Ugh,
know.
yeah,
Anyway,
they do definitely lack some visual appeal, that's for sure.
all right. Well, now I'm getting all off topic here. So we talked about effective time management. We talked about setting boundaries, learning to say no, and that self-care piece. So balance, folks. It is all about balance. Find what your balance is, and then make sure you're taking care of yourself because there's only one of you. And like my
Mhm.
husband always tells me, I can't leave myself. So don't burn yourself out because you can't
Right.
get away from yourself.
You can
So
always find another job, but you only have
yeah,
one body.
that's right. That is right. All right, Mel. Well, I think we covered it all. What do you think?
Yes.
I don't think there's any. I
I
don't think
I'm
there's
ready
any.
to start our Friday early.
I know, right? Happy 4th to everybody.
Yes.
Next week, we'll have another topic, another inspiring topic to share with you. I'll post that on our website. JanineBennett.com/podcast is where we keep the podcast schedule. If you want that article we were talking about earlier, B is for balance. Melanie wrote that, I believe, last month.
Yeah.
You can find that on our vision2purpose.com site, and it is under our blog articles. You'll see it there. And covers a more in depth what we've talked about today. And a bit more actually, and then well, I guess that's the same thing. in depth and more. Anyway, all right. So I'm starting my Friday even earlier. And that's all I have. So thank you, friends, for coming on. Thanks again, Mel. Always good to have you as my podcast partner.
Always fun.
And I'll see everybody next Thursday, 11 a.m. Enjoy the 4th. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your downtime. It's about balance.
Enjoy your freedom, America.
Yay. All right.
Bye.
Bye.